Hello, my name is Sinan, and in this video I'm going to be talking about how to create a sense of freedom, of purpose, of tribe, of feeling a sense of connection to your spirituality, to nature, to sustainability, to joy and passion. And if I had to say that there was one thing that people who are interested in spirituality that I've met in my life, that I see on the internet, are looking to learn, it would be this: to create a sense of tribe, or a life of freedom where they can pursue their passions and things that make them happy. And in my life personally, I've lived in many places, and I've experienced different forms of this. So there were times when I lived in an eco-community in India, or lived in volunteer houses and traveled for a month to volunteer and experience a different country, or went backpacking, or sold art and lived with friends in Mexico. And there were times when I focused very deeply on spirituality and healing, and learned from the greatest teachers that I could find. And so this idea of tribe, of purpose, can look very different for everybody, and it can come in many ways, and it can change the way it looks. But ideally, we want to strengthen that feeling inside of ourselves. And there are different ways that we can do that. So, for example, we can focus purely on the most inner way we can possibly focus on, which is the sense of presence, of Wu Wei, of letting go, of not thinking, and feeling a sense of bliss and contentment all the time, or as much as possible. And if we can just do that, then we have already created a stronger sense of tribe, of purpose, of joy, of play, of passion, of freedom, of respect for nature than nearly anyone. The greatest spiritual masters have a far greater sense of these things than people who sometimes have all these things in the external world. Sometimes the inner reality, to its highest levels, is a far greater level of freedom or purpose than anything we could experience externally. And I'm going to share things that can help us, either by finding inner fulfillment or looking a little bit more externally for these things. And I know by the end of this video you'll feel a greater sense of these things, and I hope you can derive a lot of benefit. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the idea of presence. And many spiritual teachers talk about being in the present moment, and how being in the present moment means that you are not thinking of the future, you are not thinking of the past. You realize that actually, even though our mind is usually in the future and usually in the past, the reality is that now is the only moment there actually is, and the only thing that you can do anything with. The future is an illusion, the past is an illusion. And when you live your life in the present moment, you are able to feel peace. And there are different ways of being in the present moment. So, for example, when you really take care of your humanity and your needs and your feelings, like you eat well, you take care of your need for safety, your need for pleasure, for play, for passion, for pride, for power, for love, for self-expression, like the chakras, then naturally your mind becomes more still. You're not conflicted inside. You don't have to fight your emotions, which are like signals telling you this is good, this is not good. So when you respect your body and your humanity, this will help you to be naturally present. The other way is to constantly read or look at ideas about the present moment. So, for example, if you ask a question like, if not now, when? And you realize that there is actually no other moment but now. or you see that other ideas about the present moment, like for example, reality is created right now. When you think about this idea, all of the past, all of the ideas of the future is created in this exact moment. So reality is sort of like a dream that's happening right now, and the idea of the future is a dream. And the third way of present moment consciousness is to not think about this exact second, but to think that this day, this minute, this hour is, you're never going to experience this again. Every moment, every day, every hour is precious and you'll never see it again. So I'm going to be talking about the Taoist principle of Wu Wei and how this can help us to feel a greater sense of purpose, of freedom, of joy, of pride, of respect for our spiritual values, of sustainability, of respect for nature. And this is a principle that I really take to heart and I really feel very passionately about. And what does Wu Wei mean? Well, to sum up what Wu Wei means, because people say slightly different things and they use different translations, it means to do nothing, to let go and not interfere with nature, but to use your mind and your control and your humanity appropriately. And this can be demonstrated, for example, when a person dances. They cannot dance using your mind and your logic. You have to dance with your subconscious and your higher self, or a deeper part of yourself doing the work for you. Otherwise you look weird. In the same way that when you surf, you have to ride the wave, you have to go with nature. And I've made art, and when I make art, I rely very heavily on my intuition and riding my inspiration, rather than just making something because I should make it. And so when you let go and do nothing, the universe is working through you, and we can sometimes receive very heavy inspiration and a sense of power which is not normal any other time. And when we are riding this wave of Wu Wei and dancing in Wu Wei, it's like everything happens in harmonious perfection, even though it might not necessarily look like it on the outside always. Some things might happen that are seemingly not good, but actually they are very helpful for our needs and our future. And when we let go, do nothing, and not interfere with nature, but use our humanity appropriately, we obtain a form of magic, a form of power, because the universe is working through us all the time. And when we let go, the universe understands some of our thoughts and our desires, and it will help us to manifest those things. And in fact, it is one of the best forms of manifestation, because it helps us to be happy now and to have our needs met in the future. And when we feel like we are working with nature, we feel like we are respecting our values for nature, maybe, or to respect our higher self's desires rather than just our human self's desires. Another part of this principle of present moment awareness, or Wu Wei, is this idea of interconnectedness, and how in nature everything is actually very interconnected, and how bees need flowers and flowers need bees, and in a way they are one organism because they need each other. How in nature a bear will eat lots of salmon in the autumn, and this bear leaves a part of the salmon that is eaten in the forest just before it hibernates. And seemingly this makes no sense, to most people. But actually this salmon replenishes the entire forest. So by springtime it's had fertilizer to grow with, and there's been a renewal in the energy of the forest. And so in a way everyone is very interconnected with each other, and when we feel that interconnection with everything and with each other, then we feel that sense of support and that we are interconnected, and we don't necessarily seek it in the outside, but it also reflects on the external world. Having a sense of oneness is a sense of love. It's not a truer sense of love, but it's a very very also meaningful sense of love as well. So this is some part of the needs taken care of on the inner reality. And when you take care of these things like presence, interconnectedness and wu wei, then you can be happy now, be happy today. But also this is extremely powerful for manifesting future reality. Many great sages and spiritual masters have emphasized that actually the number one thing they recommend is to be in the present moment, or to just let go and be in harmony with nature and not think. And this is their spirituality summed up in a nutshell. And so if we are constantly trying to manifest the future but we're not happy today, then this is not a very complete form of spirituality and living a good life, because we're always focused on the future, and the future never really comes. The second thing that I want to mention is that no matter how much current opportunity we see in front of us, there is always something we can do in the external reality to feel a greater sense of freedom, of joy, of purpose, of passion, of connection to nature, sustainability, and having a sense of like-minded friends, family and tribe. So sure, there are people who have a very high ability to do certain things and some people who have less ability, and I really understand that. And I've lived in places where it's easier to do a lot of things than other things, and I've lived in other places where maybe I didn't have the ability to do this, but I could do that. And so I understand that. But if you ask yourself, what can I do, for example, to feel a greater sense of connection to nature? Well, you can go to local parks near you and spend more time every day in nature. Or even just watch YouTube videos where they show pictures of nature. What can I do to feel a greater sense of tribe? Well, you can, apart from all the present moment stuff I've mentioned, you can practice NVC, non-violent communication. I highly recommend this. It doesn't have to be NVC, it could be a different form of communication. And when I say tribe, I say community which is respectful, supportive, truthful, and has similar values. So you can find people who have similar values and spend more time with them. Maybe something like ecstatic dance, or learning some type of thing you want to learn. And if you can't do very much of it, then just do what you can, is my recommendation. And you will feel a greater sense of tribe or purpose or connection to nature or your spiritual values. And that is all that really matters. If you can only get the inside reality right, or a little bit of the external reality right, then that is pretty great. And that is very substantial in my opinion. The next thing I want to recommend is to extend this idea of what can I do to have a greater sense of tribe or respect for nature or freedom or purpose. And instead of just going to like perhaps one meetup or going on the internet and watching some videos or meeting a friend, whatever friends you have occasionally, it could be to to spend a few days to a week in a retreat or a seminar or a eco community or something like that every 3, 4, 5 months. And when you do that for a week, you can say, this week I really felt this feeling of tribe or community or freedom or purpose. And if you can say, this month, this last few months, I've had that need taken care of to some degree, then this will go a long way to manifesting in the future and creating that reality right now. And this might be something you have to plan and work on and take action to make it work. And this brings me to my next point about extending this further, about taking action. Sometimes we might think we can't do anything because we think it won't work. But if we can just do whatever we can, and even if we think it won't work, a lot of those things we think won't work actually will work. So a lot of those things that we think won't work, but some percentage will work. So if we take as much action as possible and take the risks, then we have a greater percent chance of things manifesting the way we want. And I wanted to talk about something else, which is to have a look at your resistance regarding certain topics. So, for example, if you think of the idea of being supported, having a group of like-minded friends and family constantly supporting you or supporting you whenever you want, how does it make you feel on the inside? Do you feel some resistance to that? Do you feel like this is somehow, I don't want this is not good because of this reason? If you ask yourself, how do I feel about having a greater sense of freedom and purpose? And do you have any ideas of resistance regarding that? Or perhaps a sense of respect for nature or spirituality? What is your feelings regarding this? And when we pay attention to our feelings and meditate on them, maybe pray for guidance regarding this subject, or do something like EFT tapping or an emotional healing technique, or just talking to a friend to really understand your feelings and needs, maybe non-violent communication. This can be a good way as well. We can see that a lot of our resistance is not harmonious and realistic and helpful for us. And so if we get rid of some of that resistance, we will start to today experience more of those feelings, and later on we will manifest more and more of those feelings. And so this is to sum up this video, I wanted to say that we can work on the inner reality, first of all, of presence, of wu-wei, of interconnectedness, of having a mind of clarity and oneness. And that can take care of so much. And to make this video as simple as possible, I'd say if you just do that as much as possible, you'll be able to manifest a lot of things. And you'll be aware of all the things that are stopping you. After that, you can ask yourself, what can I do in my external reality to have more of a sense of joy, of play, of tribe, of respect for nature? And just do what you can. And the next thing is to extend this idea to spend weeks or camping weekends doing things like workshops or retreats or festivals. And then another subject is to look at your resistance to some of these feelings and heal them. For example, if I have a feeling like I can't be supported all the time because I like to spend a lot of time alone, and I feel like I wouldn't get to spend time alone. And you can look at that feeling, and some part of it might be true, but some part of it might not be accurate at all. And it's something you need to look at and harmoniously integrate into your life. So I really hope this video has helped you, and please like my page if you enjoy this video and share it. I'd appreciate that. This will help this message to be given to as many people as possible. Thank you for listening. My name is Sinan, and I hope to see you again sometime. Thank you.